Alright guys, I just picked up a new toy, a new tool I guess. I got this MIG Pak 140, readily available at Home Depot and Canadian Tire. This is a little bit higher end than some of the cheaper flux core or MIG welders. Mind you, it's not like a high-end Miller machine or maybe a Hobart or anything like that, but it's pretty good. You know, for the home hobbyists, for me, it's going to be more than enough. I've used previously some cheaper flux core wire-fed machines, and they don't work really well, but I was very pleasantly surprised with this machine, how well the flux core worked on this. Probably because it's just got a little more power than some of those cheapy machines that I had in the past, and they also didn't last very long. So anyways, this is a Lincoln. So what came with it? Obviously, the welding unit itself. I have it on a cart, which makes it really nice to move around. I got that cart for about 70 bucks. So I highly recommend getting a cart if you're getting a welding machine like this, especially if you're going to get a gas bottle like I have. And I'll talk about the gas bottle here in a second. So it came with the machine, came with the leads, of course. Nice ground clamp. I got the gun here with an active trigger. So what I mean by that, I don't know if that's the right word, but some of the cheaper machines, when you touch the metal that you're trying to weld with the wire, it's going to arc right away. What's nice about this one is it won't arc until you pull the trigger, and then the wire starts feeding and it turns it live. A cheaper machine I had before, you know, sometimes you get some arc flash. You touched the metal by accident, or the wire got a little long and you kind of tapped it and gave you a little zap. Anyways, that's kind of nice that it won't do that with this one. So this kit, what it came with, and I'll get to this other stuff over here in a second. I paid about 500 bucks for this machine on sale, and it had a bonus kit with it too. But what came with the actual machine without the bonus kit is it has this gas hose, manual of course to set it up, gas regulator for MIG welding. If you don't know what MIG welding is, the difference between MIG welding and flux core welding, look it up. I'll try to show you the difference here in a bit anyway. This is some extra contact tips, and this extra tip here, this nozzle, I think for gas MIG welding. I have the flux core wire in the machine, meaning you can weld without gas with this MIG welder. It's kind of funny, most people call MIG welders, you know, wire-fed welders MIG welders, but they're not technically a MIG welder unless it uses gas, because a MIG welder stands for, I think, metal inert gas welding, something like that. This wire here, it came with two spools. The one spool's already in it. It's got the flux core, meaning it's got the shielding already built into the wire, whereas this stuff here is unshielded, and you have to use this wire with a bottle of gas. Anyways, so this is the bonus kit. Came with it. It was a promotion. Welding magnet. This is kind of nice if you don't have this stuff already. I already have like the welding gloves, chipping hammer, and all that stuff, but it's good to always have more. They're consumables. So welding magnet to hold large pieces of metal, one magnet. Nice pair of gloves. Those are nice. Soapstone for marking steel. Chipping hammer. And then two extra rolls of wire. One with the inner shield. I think it's 0.035 flux core. So you don't need gas with this wire. And then this stuff here is the MIG wire that you need to use with gas. So this is 0.025. Both of these rolls already came with the machine, so that's kind of nice. So you see there's a roll there, and then I got the bonus rolls here. So it's kind of nice. Great deal. Really great deal. And I've played with this machine a little bit, and it works awesome. Like, I'm really, really happy with this. You know, for the home hobbyist, probably one of the better machines for the price, in my opinion. I've used some other welding machines, higher end ones, you know, my friends have, and they work really well, but this works great for home hobbyists. So I'm going to show you the difference between the flux core setup and the MIG setup, which I should mention also, the MIG setup. I picked up this bottle of gas here. This is a tri-mix that I got at Air Liquide. I think they call this the Albi, and what that means is I've purchased this bottle, and it comes with a regulator built in. So I bought this bottle, and with them I can just exchange it. I can take it in and get a new bottle filled. So I own this bottle, but what it means is I own the bottle. I can take it in and just get a refill, but they'll just give me another bottle, I think, is how it works. Because it's going to take me forever to go through a bottle of this anyway. So, because I don't do a ton of welding, but it will be really nice to use a gas system for welding. All right, I'm going to show you some welds and the setup, and let's see how it goes. So this is the setup with the flux core. All it is it just got a roll of wire. So if you're interested in this welder, there's two ways you can set up this welder. There's flux core, and then there's MIG welding. A lot of people think a MIG welder is just a wire-fed welder. That's not the case. It doesn't have to use gas. It can use this wire here called flux core, meaning this wire has the flux built into it, and when you weld, it shields the arc, and you don't need a gas. Now MIG welding, metal inert gas, that uses a shielding gas instead of the flux to shield the arc. But it's a lot more expensive. It's a little bit harder to set up. It's a little bit, if you don't do a lot of welding, it's probably not worth your time or your money to set up that. But what's nice about it is there's no flux to chip off. Unlike using flux cord, you have to chip off of the shielding material. Alright, I'm going to weld some angle iron just to run some beads just to try out the flux core wire. I got a speed setting of 3 with a power setting of D because it's 1/8 inch angle iron, so it's pretty thick. Let's see how this works. Alright, so I ran a bead on some 1/8 inch angle iron, angle steel, and it looks pretty good. I'm not the best welder. This is the first bead I've ran with a wire-fed welder in over probably 10 years, but it looks okay. Not really any undercut. The power setting and the wire speed seemed okay. I just need some practice, but it looks like a good bead overall, and the flux chipped off really easy. So I have to say, all I had before was a really cheap flux core welder. This welder, which I'm using flux core wire right now that came with it, works really, really well. So to change the wire on this is pretty simple. This will go crazy if you let the tension go on this spool of wire. It's just going to go boing, and it's just going to go everywhere. So always keep a little tension on it. And I'm just spooling this wire back all the way through after releasing this tensioner. So all I do is just pull down on that and release, and that lets go of the tensioner. And I'm just feeding the wire back, spooling it back onto the spool from the gun. And there we go, there's the end of it. I'm going to release this. And then I'm going to have to tie this, or else it's going to go crazy. The other thing I have to do is I have to switch this wheel, this feeder wheel. I have to flip this around. There's one side of it's 0.035 and the other side's 0.25. So I have to flip it around. Okay, now I can turn it on and let it feed. There we go. Now that I've switched this over to 0.025, I have to change the contact tip on this. So I got a 0.25 contact tip, and I've taken out the old one. And then I have the metallic contact tip now, or nozzle I should say. And I'm going to put this guy on. And there we go. We're set up for MIG now. And now over here I have the gas bottle in place. And because this has the built-in regulator, I just hooked the hose that came with it, the gas hose, directly into the bottle and then into the back of the machine. And then I can just turn it on and off right here and then control the gas flow using that right there. And I have a gauge on the side there. So that's really handy with this type of bottle that has the gauge built in. Alright, now I got the setup for MIG. I'm going to try a wire speed of 5, heat setting of C or D for just running a bead on a 1/8 inch angle steel. Alright, so I went back and I did a little more practicing just to get a feel for actual MIG welding instead of the flux core. So I just want to show you, so here is the flux core I did earlier. So these three pieces here are all flux core with the flux core wire, the 0.034. And, you know, it's not bad. I'm not the best welder, so, you know, don't necessarily judge me on that. But I just wanted to show you that I was able to run an okay bead in the in a 90 here. So this one here looks alright. I didn't do so well in the flat here, but that was the very first bead I ran with the welder. Here it's not too bad, but then this piece here, this one here is looking decent. I got the heat and the wire speed pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with this one. Not too much splatter, no undercut. This one here looks great. So that's with the flux core. So I was getting the hang with the flux core. Then I switched over to the MIG, and I ended up with, on my first try, with this guy here. And this is using the .025 wire. But I think what I had wrong was the heat setting. I didn't use enough heat. So I didn't have very good luck with this. It just built up, and maybe my wire speed was wrong too. I think my wire speed was a little too fast. Not enough heat, wire speed too fast. So I got these little balls here built up. So this piece, no good. Then I just decided to go back and let's just start running some beads. And I think I've already showed you guys these. And I was able to run some beads on some thinner stock. I think this is 14 gauge. So not the best, but I was starting to get the hang of it. And then I realized, okay, I obviously don't have enough heat and wires, enough heat. So I cranked up the heat a bit more, and I was able to start getting back to welding on 1/8 angle. It's not as good as the flux core, and after doing some reading in the manual, this machine, if I'm going to weld anything thick, I can use flux core to weld that. I get better penetration, probably because the wire is a little thicker, so a little more heat. But with the MIG, I can weld thinner things. However, if I want to weld thicker metal, I need to grind them out. So I need to do multi-pass. So in other words, I need to like notch out a V and then weld in. So that's why I'm having problems with this. It's not meant for welding material quite this thick right off the get-go, I think. But with the heat cranked up and a little practice, it's getting there. It's a lot better than what this was here. So the other thing is, you notice this piece of metal is a little more rusty. You gotta have clean metal, I noticed, when welding with gas. So I've got some lessons learned here. So this machine so far works awesome, but again, it's the operator, not the machine. I'm gonna go back, play with some more, but overall my impressions, even just based on the flux core, this machine works awesome. So anyways, I had to go practice some more and then kind of come back and just finish off this overview. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. I got all kinds of stuff on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna keep practicing and running more beads until I get the hang of this.